Welcome back to Bell with Alistair Hex. As you can tell, I am not in the Hexagon today. No, I am down in Colorado Springs hanging out with none other than Dangerous Danger Dean.
Yes.
So dangerous, you have to say it twice.
I know, right? A lot of people call me Dangerous Dan, so I thought that's where you were going with it. Thank you for calling me the right name.
You know, you got to double down. Double down. Middle name, last name, Danger. But no, we are down here for the fun show that is happening tonight down here at Frisky's venue, and we're going to have a kick-ass time. Dean, you're competing in what kind of match?
It's a milk and cookies match, and there's really no way to explain it, really. And I know this isn't a promo to get people down here because the show is going to already happen by the time people see it, but you really have to see it to really get it. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. No pun intended.
Right, and you could probably look for some of those highlights right.
Hailing from Hoodle, he is as painful and slimy and charming and dangerous as an eel. Danger
Knock that the fuck off. Knock it off. Make some noise.
There.
Well, those were fun.
Yeah. Where does it start? Where's the wrestling journey begin?
Well, I think that, like a lot of other wrestlers and fans alike, when I'm a kid, I was never raised in a family that watched wrestling. I was at my aunt's house one day flipping through channels, and I came across, I think it was WWF Mania on Saturday morning. And I was like, what is going on? And I remember that what I saw was Yokozuna crushing Hacksaw Jim Duggan. So he kept bonsai dropping him, and then Hacksaw started puking blood. It was the first thing I ever saw, and I was mortified. Like this, and in my head, I'm like, this old guy is getting killed by this giant. And so ever since then, I was hooked. And I was, 12 years old. I think it was right after, or no, I was 11. So it was right after Lex Luger slammed Yoko on the USS Intrepid. So 93.
Wow.
I'm giving my age away there.
Wrestling history, man.
Yes,
I know.
yes.
That's what we're here for, to learn more about you, where it came from. So that's
right.
awesome.
Yeah.
So was it a family affair? Was it something that your parents watched with you, or just...
No. Yeah. I was never in a family like that. It was just something I found on my own, and was, I was drawn to it immediately. I don't know what it was, the characters, the costumes, but yeah, I was a fan immediately, and then I actually found wrestling actually found me as far as this goes. I had never even really heard of the indies or known the indies existed. WrestleMania 20, Denver used to have a sports bar called Red and Jerry's, and on pay-per-view days, you could just show up and sit down for free and watch the pay-per-views. You could order food or whatever. They prefer you ordered food,
Right.
but that's where we would go for all the pay-per-views. So WrestleMania 20, I believe it was, Buddy and I went to Red and Jerry's, and we noticed in the arcade area there was a ring. And we were like, what is that? And the Honky Tonk Man was there signing autographs. So we figured that it was like a circus carnival type thing where it traveled, like Honky Tonk Man traveled around with a ring and wrestled people. That's just how we interpreted it. Because again, we'd never heard of the indies. And at that time, the internet was still young, so there weren't a lot of dirt sheets or, options for spoilers. And so the show gets done, and they start the show, the indie show in the arcade, and we were like, what is this? And it was your average, indie wrestlers, and these guys weren't, in shape either. I hate to, knock on the guys, but I was like, if these guys can do it, I surely can do it. And I remember they were handing out flyers, and I grabbed one on my way out, and I called and asked about training, and training was so ridiculously expensive. And in my head, the money compared to what I just saw didn't quite make sense. So I never thought about it again.
Logistically doesn't add up.
Yeah.
Look at that.
And then fast forward to 2008, I'd been working in radio at that point for 5 years almost, and this guy comes through our doors. People had said, "Oh, wrestling's coming through town." I'm like, "Yeah, SmackDown is at World Arena." And they're like, "No, this local guy's running a show. He has Dr. Death Steve Williams." And I was like, "What?"
Whoa.
I was like, "How's that even possible?" And turns out Dr. Death was from Lakewood, Colorado. It's where he lived. And so I agreed to, at first what I agreed to do was a spot in the Battle Royal where they basically had a Battle Royal at the end of the show. They crowned a champion. So I would come out during this Battle Royal as the cocky radio guy, talk shit on the microphone. Their big dude would pick me up and throw me over the top rope and eliminate me. So they tell me this, and I'm like, that is amazing. Yeah.
You son of a bitch! I'm in.
Throw me in. That's what I want to do. And so I meet the promoter after I've agreed to do this thing. That we sit down and meet, and the guy tells me, he's like, we can do this spot, or he was like, I'm looking for a ring announcer, and he was like, I don't want like an old stuffy ring announcer. I want a guy who's up on the ropes, hyping the crowd up. He cited Wrestling Society X. Their ring announcer was kind of like the host more so than a ring announcer. Which at that time I was 26, and I was like, hell yeah, man! Like, I'm totally in. So I agreed to be the ring announcer, and at that time too, I didn't really think about being a wrestler. And then the day of the show, my first show ever was June 13th, 2008. I still remember the day.
Wow.
We set the ring up, and the promoter, his name's Brandon Bishop. Asylum Championship Wrestling was the promotion here in the Springs, and he was like, have you ever bumped before? And I was like, never. And he was like, do you want to learn how to bump? And I was like, you're damn right I want to learn how to bump. So he teaches me a few of the basic bumps, and there's a thing with, and I probably have gone off so long on your question here.
No, it's okay.
There are certain types of people, when they start wrestling, they either adapt to that bumping motion and throwing yourself on the ground, or it takes them a minute to kind of break that ice, because it's not a very natural action to throw yourself on the ground. So, but I started learning those bumps, and I actually took to the training pretty easily, given I have never in my life been an athlete. I was 26, I'd never played sports, but I'd watched wrestling enough, I knew the motions, and so I just for some reason took to the training really easily. So
Nothing wrong with that.
yeah, over that next year and change, and at that time there were really no schools in Colorado, especially close to me where I was here in Colorado Springs. So we would set up the ring once a month, because that's how many shows, that's when the show day was, and then that's when I would train. So I spent that time. We would also meet up at, the promoter's apartment and learn what you can without a ring, tie-ups and reversals and things like that. But
Any promo work and stuff with that too?
Yeah, exactly. It was it was all kind of things like that. Promo work was easy for me because I am used to being on a microphone, so
you do it during the microphone on your gear,
yes,
I believe. So
yes, I do. Yeah. So the promo stuff was easy for me. It was getting in shape and learning how to lift weights, because again, I never had any reason to do that whatsoever. So I had a weird journey into wrestling, a different one. I think a lot of people will seek out schools and train where the school kind of found me, and but not to say that once I did start doing it, I met guys like Lonnie Valdez, like Martin Casaus. I met guys like that I knew that if I wanted to keep doing this, that I was going to have to take it way serious and probably work harder than a lot of guys would, because I did get backdoored into within a year and a half I was wrestling, and then from a year and a half of my debut, I was a champion in the company. So I mean, I had a rocket strapped to my ass in that company, and it was basically just because I was a local personality on the radio, and the promoter thought, hey, if I put this guy in my posters, maybe we can draw.
Get a little extra.
Yeah, jokes on him, didn't work.
Sorry, that's really good. Oh my goodness. Well, it's okay. Was that your first championship win?
Yeah, 2010, April of 2010.
Wow.
So it was an 8-man ladder match, or I think it was 8 people. And I want to say 2010, it was Money in the Bank may have come out or may have started at that point. Maybe not, but there weren't a lot of big ladder matches like that where we had small ladders, big ladders. We had the ladders that were straight that bent and that turned it, like painter's ladders. We had a spot where everybody was down. Everyone was down on the mat, and one guy grabbed that big long ladder and laid it across the ropes, and then as we all stood up, he slid it across the top ropes because it was huge. It was long enough. It was like a 20-foot ladder. And he slid it across and bowled us over the front way, and then we all stood up again. He bowled us over the back way. It was, got to do some pretty fun spots. But yeah, April 2010 was my first championship.
That ladder was essentially the laser in Resident Evil. Huh?
No, for real. It was the same thing. It kept going back and forth until we were all annihilated.
Mike, did you win? You saw what you wanted.
I did, and it was a ladder match, which I'm actually afraid of heights. Fun fact about me. Where if I'm on an 18-foot ladder, I start getting real dizzy. So I show up to the venue and I did the test run to go up, and they wanted me to stand on top of the ladder and reach up and do it. And I was like, brother, there is no way that's happening. So
not even one.
I was like, let's lower it a little bit, and I'll tell you where I'm comfortable. And it ended up being to where I was on the third rung, and it was embarrassing. Yeah, basically we had to work extra hard to keep people from making it to the belt because I couldn't crawl that big ass ladder.
Hey, but they accommodated the champion.
They did. They did. I wasn't going to win if they didn't. Yeah. I wasn't climbing that goddamn ladder.
So not too many top turnbuckle moves in your repertoire, then.
Funny enough, one of my favorite moves is the top turnbuckle.
Is it?
Yeah,
okay.
So, but on the top turnbuckle, I can I have 3 points of contact. So with the ladder, though, there's a lot of variables if I'm just standing on top of that thing.
So it's not holding it. Yeah, I feel
Plus,
that.
my vertigo doesn't allow it.
So you've been wrestling how long now?
So I guess if you include day one training in June, then it's been 17 and a half years that I've put my body through this kind of abuse.
Would you consider yourself a vet then? That long?
That's a funny word. Do I consider myself a vet? I think in the sense of the fact that I've been doing it long enough, and the fact that I will keep my door open for any young talent if they have questions or advice that they need. You can call me at 2:00 in the morning and I'll respond. Maybe not right away, but when
might
I
have
do,
some questions.
Yeah, but there's no. I have an open door policy. If you especially with the younger guys, I know what it was like being younger. When I was younger, coming up, there was a lot of. I feel like it was a lot harder because there was a lot of guys that wanted to really beat the shit out of you. That's kind of how they wanted to break you in the business. Where I'm not quite that mean.
Yeah,
so
thankfully,
yeah. I mean, I am that mean. If you,
he's dangerous.
But no, I think that it's imperative to work together, and I think the older guys that gatekeep, I think, are a problem. So I think in that sense, I do consider myself a vet because I'm willing to help the younger generation, and
absolutely.
And in turn, I end up learning a lot from them too because they learn quicker than me, and most of them are way more athletic than I am. So
that is a unique mindset to have. Not only can I teach you some things, but you might teach me some things. That's awesome. Yeah. That's really cool. So okay, let's. I guess you've had all the many matches. You've been competing as long as you have. How many championships would you say you've won?
I actually haven't held that many. Asylum Championship, Wrestling's, that championship I held, I think, 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
So that's one company. And then Rocky Mountain Pro, I was their second longest reigning champion.
That's awesome.
To this day, I still hold that record. But I don't think I ever held any other titles in RMP, even though I was with them for, and I still haven't closed the door with them yet. So,
No.
I mean, but that might have been the only, because I never held the tag titles. I was in the match for the first ever tag titles crowned, but I don't think I ever held the tag titles, obviously not the women's. So I held the tag titles out in Washington.
Wow.
I'm the CSW 719 champion now.
Right.
I did hold the CSW championship the night of my first retirement. I retired like 5 times. I don't plan on announcing a retirement unless like I'm paralyzed.
Yeah.
Knock on wood, geez. But
You got to have a full retirement tour and then just show up at another promotion.
yeah,
the next day.
yeah.
That's-
If I have pushed this so far that my body completely breaks down, which it's not far from the realm of possibility. I have a herniated disc that I wrestle with, so I do have to be a little smart with how I wrestle. So hopefully that doesn't impact too much of my future.
Yeah. With as many championships as you've won, do you feel like you have a favorite?
I would probably say the RMP title, just because at the time I was the longest reigning champion of that company, and I held that for like 10 years or so.
Wow.
But at the time, it was NRW. It was called NRW, and the roster was much smaller. And at that time, there were a few of us that really took it upon ourselves to kind of strap that company on our back and make it work. Hoodlum was one of those guys. Duck Doyle, who was my opponent. There were a bunch of guys. Bobby Lashley, whose gym we ended up working out of for a little while. It was all during that period. But I worked the hardest during that, and I took it, very seriously. And I think that title run is probably the one I'm most proud of.
Wow. It's crazy the connections that Bobby Lashley has. You, Bruce Wayans,
Yeah.
man, I would love to
Yeah.
talk to that guy.
So Bobby is, and I call him Bobby like I know him. I actually worked Bobby Lashley in 2013, and
Okay.
he trained here in Colorado Springs at the Olympic Training Center, obviously. So when I met him for the match, which the match is, it's super funny. The pictures, I don't have the match on film anymore, but the pictures are great because I have him in a sleeper hold and his head is the size of my torso. But when I met him, I went up and I'm like, Danger Dean, nice to meet you. And he was like, I know who you are, because he listened to the radio, and I was on the radio down here for, since 2003.
You had a fan.
So, well, I wouldn't say fan, but he was familiar, and so I think with that he opened up a little more with me, and we did a spot that was really fun. It was a fake knee injury spot where it wasn't just the typical like fake the knee injury, and then you come like the ref comes and checks on you, and then you grab them and pull them. It was like the whole point of it was to shut the show down, which I think we shut it down for like 7 minutes. We fooled everyone. We didn't tell people we were doing this, but it got a great reaction, and it made sense. And yeah, Bobby Lashley's honestly, he was probably one of the more giving of the names or vets, I guess, what you can call them, that I've worked with. I've been fortunate. The guys that I have worked with have been really, really awesome.
Yeah.
And I think love the business more than they love themselves. So it opened up, possibilities to learn more from them. So
That's
and I
awesome.
think the Bobby Lashley match was one of those. So
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, do you have plans, I guess, for 2026 being the end of the year coming up? We have a couple weeks left.
yeah, some I don't want to give out any details on because there's some things maybe in the works, and two, I like the element of surprise a little bit.
Hey, I feel that.
But I do have some cool stuff planned. Of course, CWC, CSW, fun here in the Springs. It's kind of the motivation for me to come back into the ring was because I got back to the Springs, I'm back on the radio, and I feel like it just kind of, those two things for me have always worked well hand in hand.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's kind of where I'm most active. Lucha Libre and Laughs. We've got some incredible stuff coming up.
Looking forward to January.
2026. Yeah, the January show, they just announced the main event, which is Heidi Howitzer, Danhausen, and Shotzi Blackheart in a triple. Wow. That one I'm looking forward to. I get to call that one.
That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, looking forward to that. So, yeah, there's some good stuff. And then, yeah, if, follow my socials. I've got some really cool stuff in the works as well. So.
Follow Dean. Be dangerous.
Yeah, the danger Dean.
But cool. I mean, I'll kind of take in my last question here. Walk me through backstage at a show. I mean, obviously we're backstage now, we're hanging out, but what is a normal backstage at a show when it's just Dean? Like, what do you do to begin, and what does ending look like?
So a good chunk of it is me kind of relaxing.
Okay.
I don't perform very, and I think a lot of us can say that. I don't perform well if my head's full of shit. So
fair.
I like to relax, and that's
little meditation.
Yeah, meditation, going through, whether it's throwing on the headphones and kind of losing myself in that for a little bit, getting my stretch in and warming up before I go out and do the most ridiculous shit that we possibly can on the planet. All for
I mean, you wouldn't do anything crazy like take someone's car.
No, never.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Well, all right. And then what does the wrap up look like? You get back to the locker room, you're sweaty, you've just won a match.
Yeah, then it's trying to shut off the adrenaline, which usually it takes a couple hours. So usually I get done, I'll eat a meal, go home and do some yoga, stretch. Which back in the day, I don't drink anymore, but when I was younger, I would go and get completely annihilated. Which I don't recommend doing that, by the way. So now I go home, I do some yoga, I stretch, and apologize to my body until it forgives me, which it never fully does. But
they never do.
Yeah. So.
Well, Dean, I really appreciate you taking the time. I know we're busy here at Fun Show. I'm going to go do some filming. Dean's got a milk and cookies match. I brought extra cookies. I don't know what we're going to need them for. But
you're going to see. It's going to be ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you so much.
It's Danger Dean, and you're listening to Bell to Bell.